Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Child Care Director's Chair, where Erica Sacoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica Sacoccio here, and welcome back to the Child Care Director's Chair. Today's episode is for my entrepreneur friends out there in the world of early childhood education. Perhaps you are a lead teacher, an education coordinator, a director, or maybe you have one child care location and you're thinking of expanding. So today I wanted to really dive into what does it take to open a childcare center. We're going to put together a short little list of 20 do's and don'ts that will help guide you through the process of establishing a thriving childcare center. So we're going to start with our do's. So you absolutely have to build a solid business plan. And you can do that by starting to outline your vision, your mission, your target market, who will that be, and financial projections. Now, as you build out your business plan, you will add a lot more to that, including your marketing plan and all of that. But those four basic areas is a great place to start. And a well-structured plan will serve as a roadmap to your success. Now, I'm going to guess you probably have never really put together a business plan before, so where do you even get started? I can tell you there are a tremendous amount of resources out there for small business owners and entrepreneurs. I would definitely start with the Small Business Administration or association. They definitely can help you with loans that are available, workshops that are available. There's also SCORE that can help you as well. And if you live in New England, there is the Center for Women in Enterprise. But I can assure you that no matter what state you live in, reach out to the business supports in your state. And most of these programs are free. They don't cost you anything, and they certainly will help you get started. Now, the thing with the business plan is a lot of people like to kind of skip this part and be like, well, I've been in the field for 15 years and I worked at, someone else's center and all of that. Well, I did too. Let me tell you, I worked at someone else's program for about 10 years before I struck out on my own. And I was a really great director. Like literally, I thought I knew everything. And I probably did from a director standpoint, and maybe a great deal from a business standpoint as well. But there were a lot of things I learned after the fact I became an owner. And I think that that's probably a story that most childcare owners can tell you now has also happened to them. You learn a lot more things. As a director, you're not necessarily worrying about the IRS. You're not necessarily worrying about payroll taxes. You're looking at more of the day-to-day operation. And if you've been running someone's center for, 5, 6, 7 years, you probably have a pretty good handle on what the day-to-day looks like in terms of licensing and regulations and that kind of thing. But there's a whole nother side. So working on a solid business plan is really going to help you understand how to run your program successfully, but also from the business side and compliance side and workers' comp and insurance and many things that you just don't deal with on a daily basis as a director. You want to make sure that you obtain the necessary licenses and permits before you get started with anything. Make sure you are very familiar with all of the legal requirements and regulations specific for your area, and ensure that you have all of the necessary permits and licenses to operate legally. And if you are maybe considering opening up your own sector because maybe you're moving, make sure if you're moving to a different area that, that you have a good understanding of what might be different than what you're used to and what you need to do. A lot of times too, when folks start looking for locations, you have to understand zoning. Not every building can be used for an educational facility, and you want to make sure that the actual physical space will meet all of the inspections as well. So, making sure that it is lead free and radon safe and has safe water and all of those things. So there's a lot that you'll need to know. So obtaining those necessary permits and licenses and regulations to help guide you through what you need to do. You want to make sure that you can create a safe and stimulating environment where you prioritize the children's safety by implementing appropriate security measures, maintaining a clean and child-friendly space that encourages learning and exploration. You will also have to consider hiring qualified and passionate staff. And this is probably one of the biggest challenges for childcare owners right now. You're going to have to be really strategic when you assemble a team of dedicated professionals who have experience in the early childhood field and share your passion for nurturing young minds. And you're going to have to think outside the box because the talent pool has really shrunk quite a bit, especially if you work at a private for-profit center. Many of the qualified staff that have been in our industry for years are moving to spaces such as universal pre-K classrooms, or nonprofits such as Head Start, where the rates of pay typically are a little bit higher and the benefit packages are usually a little bit stronger because they are funded at either the state level or the federal level. So sometimes we have to get real creative. So this may be a bigger roadblock than you think. So tease that out and see what the talent pool looks like in the area that you're considering opening up a center. You'll have to develop curriculum that promotes holistic development, design curriculum that focuses on cognitive, physical, social, and emotional development. And you also want to make sure that you're incorporating age-appropriate activities and learning opportunities into the daily routines. Now, this might be an area that you really excel in, especially if you are an education coordinator or lead teacher and you have a great deal of experience here. So this might be one of the easiest parts of opening a center for you. You'll also want to make sure that you foster strong parent-teacher relationships, establish an open line of communication with your parents, and encouraging their involvement and addressing their concerns promptly and regularly updating them on their child's progress. And you may have done this at the teacher level, but when you do it at the program level, it is magnified by the number of classrooms you have. So if you are used to running a preschool classroom and you have great parent communication with those parents, now you have, 4 other pre-K classrooms, some infant classrooms, toddler classrooms, perhaps before and after school classrooms. You're going to have to, do a considerable amount of work to make sure that all of those classrooms are in line and know what's going on in the program. And based on the age of the children, that may vary classroom to classroom. So something to think about and maybe putting together a plan of how often you will communicate with parents and what the method you will be using. And you'll have to use several different methods because although you may have a parent communication app, like 95% of schools, you may also find that there are parents who don't use the app, don't read their emails. Do you have a text system? Are you still sending out paper? Are you trying to do as many open houses and monthly parent events and all of those things? So you really have to think about that. You'll want to consider, are you going to be providing nutritious meals and snacks? Or is that something the families are going to bring in? And if you are the one providing the meals, you have to make sure that they're well balanced, that the meals and the snacks have nutritional value and meet the needs of growing children. So you might want to even consult with a nutritionist to ensure that your menu is diverse and healthy. Also, you may want to consider being part of the federal food program, which will give you some reimbursement towards the meals and snacks that you're providing for families. It is a great way to make sure your family's needs are met, to make sure that the program can have a sustainable meal program in place, that you also get the compensation to be able to afford, such food. You want to work on how are you going to maintain a low student to teacher ratio. And when you do that, it helps to strive to keep low student and teacher ratios in a place where you can really foster a nurturing environment. Also, make sure that your staff are not stressed out or burnt out. And it certainly is a very attractive selling feature when you are doing your marketing, especially if you're competing against something like a universal pre-K where it's, very standardized and it's, they don't have the same flexibility that you may have in a private facility where you can say, in traditional program in Rhode Island, the ratio is 1 to 10 for a preschool age child. But at our program, we do 1 to 8, which allows us to give your child a little bit more individualized attention. So, that's, again, just a tip from the marketing perspective, but you want to be able to make sure that your teachers don't get burnt out. So maybe not always necessarily having a maximum ratio at all times. You want to implement effective behavior management strategies and really think about this. You want to establish clear guidelines and age-appropriate discipline techniques to promote positive behavior and create a harmonious atmosphere. Your teachers really will appreciate that, as well as your parents. So, talking about what will that look like? When will you terminate a child? What strategies and tips will you put in place to help promote positive behavior? What maybe tools or workshops will you provide not only for your teachers, but for your parents so that everybody's on the same page and it's cohesive? And lastly, in my do's list, you want to continually invest in professional development, encourage your staff to attend workshops, conferences, training programs to stay up to date with the latest research and best practices in early childhood education. My little caveat I would say is if you are planning on also having school age as part of your new childcare center, make sure that the staff are trained for that age group. I feel like, unfortunately, there are many programs that have a school age program down the hall and it's like one room and it's the same teachers that, bounce from infant room to toddler room to preschool room, and they have those same trainings. And the school age and youth field is definitely a whole different type of feel in terms of not only the curriculum, but how you set up the classroom, the expectations, the projects and activity that you do will be maybe longer term, that they would be over a period of time. So I do want to just always acknowledge that because I do feel like it's something that gets breezed over quite a bit. Next, we'll talk about the don'ts. So let's get into the don'ts. So first of all, do not neglect marketing and branding. Develop a strong brand identity and create a marketing strategy to attract families to your child care center. You want to utilize many different methods: social media, local advertising, word of mouth, having a great website. All these are places to invest some time, money, and effort when it comes to putting out information about your program to the greater community. Don't overlook the importance of insurance coverage. Protect your business and your families that you serve by obtaining comprehensive insurance coverage that includes liability and property insurance. Also, if you do a maturity of running the center, you might want to look into key man insurance to make sure that if something happens to you, that you have to be out for a year for something, that you have the money that you could pay someone to replace you in that period of time. So talk with your insurance agent about all of the different types of insurances you'll need to know, workers' comp, and get a good understanding of, covering your assets, making sure you're not liable for things that you could be better covered for. So you don't want to compromise anywhere when it comes to health and safety standards. Be very strict and adhere to health and safety regulations to ensure the well-being of your children and your care. You want to regularly inspect and maintain your equipment and facilities, and the best way to do that is have a formal systems an operations checklist, a person responsible, a person that they account to. When it's written down, when it's inspected and gets checked, that's how you know that that is done. Because if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, but if it's not written down and you don't have a checklist, it's very easy, because we are human, to overlook something. So that would be an area I would spend a lot of time on, especially if you're new and this is your first center. Do not ignore feedback from parents and staff. Actively listen to feedback from parents and staff members to identify areas for improvement, to make any necessary adjustments to enhance the quality of your services. And I always say that take the bad feedback as a gift, because when you do and you take what that feedback is and you really dive into it, it really does help you improve your program, which is why so many accreditation programs and quality rating systems require you to do surveys with your families and staff on a quarterly basis, or even more frequently than that. There's a reason why, because they know it improves quality when you take that feedback and then you put together a plan on how you are going to close any gaps. You do not want to underestimate the power of professional networks. Join a local or national early childhood education association so that you can connect with like-minded professionals, gain insight, and stay informed about industry trends. I love being part of a group. I'm part of several groups, and not only, the early childhood field, but also the business field, because I do feel like in our industry, we're so hyper-focused on the educational piece that we sometimes forget this is also a business. So be part of like your chamber of commerce or other small business networking groups. There's also obviously large ones too, but childcare tends to be hyper local unless you're building something that's going to be a franchise or, operate through multiple states. You're usually pretty super local and hyper focused in a certain area. So think about how far out do people come to your center? What's that mile radius? I'm in Rhode Island, so everybody thinks everything's far away. But, think about that the demographics of who you serve, where are they, and how you can connect with others in that space of influence. Do not neglect the importance of ongoing assessment and evaluation. Continually assess your center's performance, curriculum and effectiveness, and staff satisfaction to identify areas of improvement and ensure the highest quality of care. You also do not want to overlook the significance of a welcoming and inclusive environment. So embrace diversity and create an inclusive environment that celebrates different cultures, backgrounds, and abilities. One of the things I absolutely love about my program, it is so diverse on many levels, and not just with the staffing, but even the families that attend our program. Such a diverse group, wonderful group, and it really does make working together much more enjoyable. So you don't want to disregard the importance of a well-maintained outdoor play area. Provide a safe and engaging outdoor play space that encourages physical activity, exploration, and promoting the overall development of children. And let me tell you, from somebody who's owned the center for a very long time, most of your major accidents are going to happen outside. Children are very active, they're very fast, they're climbing, they're doing all types of things, which they should be, but they're doing all types of things that are a little bit more risky than typically would happen inside. Also, teachers, unfortunately, tend to be a little less engaged in the outside time. It's almost sometimes like a break, I always say like no teapots, because teachers tend to kind of gather together and talk about other things, and so that's typically when it goes awry out in the playground. So you want to make sure that space is safe, and it's a great way too, depending on where you live especially, to expand your learning space. So don't just use your outdoor play area for gross motor activity. It's a great place to bring out books and blocks and other materials that are traditionally found just inside the classroom. Really expand to outside, but make sure that space is safe. And you don't want to neglect the power of technology. utilizing technology to streamline administrative tasks, communicate with your parents, and enhance learning experiences for children through age-appropriate educational apps and tools. So don't underestimate that. A lot of parents are looking for programs that use some type of technology to communicate with families, having the lesson plans up, having pictures throughout the day, getting regular communication from your teaching team. These are all things that parents really look for. And if you don't have that in your new center and somebody tours your center and another program that does have an app, there's a good chance they're going to pick the other program over you, even if your pricing is a little bit less, even if your center is a little bit newer or nicer. If they feel like they're going to get more communication and more access to what's going on in their child's day, there's a good chance they're going to pick that program over yours. And then don't forget to celebrate milestones and achievements. Recognize and celebrate the accomplishment of your center, of your staff, and of your children. And this fosters a positive and motivating atmosphere for everyone involved. And I know as teachers and educators, many times you are all very, very humble. But it is okay to celebrate all of your business achievements along with the educational accomplishments of your staff and your children. So I would say, there's probably many more things that we could add to this list, but I would say this could certainly get you in the right direction of things you want to make sure that you do and areas you want to make sure you don't overlook. And this will really help you establish a reputable child care center. And remember, the impact that you make on the young lives in your community is really immeasurable. So thank you for all you do. Good luck on your incredible journey. And don't be afraid to take the leap, because honestly, if you never make a move, you'll be stuck. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Child Care Director's Chair.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Child Care Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your child care centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Child Care Director's Chair.